Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston and I thank you greatly for joining me for this monthly forecast for July 2025. You know how it works. Every time we go into a monthly or a weekly episode, we recap where we were the last time. In June 2025, we had some challenge. Of course, we had Hexagram 29, the abysmal, bringing danger and peril and challenge into our lives, bringing us the awareness of how important it is to learn how to flow with change, how to let the water take us as it comes down that ravine. It gathers us up and takes us forward. If we try and cling on to the old, cling on to the side of the ravine, that water can bring us much more harm. And so learning in the face of repeated danger, of repeated challenge, of repeated issues coming at us again and again, last month was all about learning how to let go of the side of the cliff and let the water flow. Keeping our heads above water, staying calm, not panicking, not trying to paddle like crazy, just going with it and allowing the process to complete. With a tricky changing line talking about do not get stuck, do not get caught up, change now, change the way that you're going, change the way that you're thinking. And of course, we had the dissipating energy of Hexagram 59 coming to dissolve the obstacles and gently thaw out things that were locked up and difficult. So as much as we had challenge with that first part of the month, we certainly had that easing up of things starting to slowly thaw out and ease out in the second half of June. So if anything came up for you in working with those hexagrams, please do share. No doubt, a month where we all went through big emotions, the fear and anxiousness and the tumultuous energy of Hexagram 29, the abysmal, and this kind of thaw and release and dissipating of energy in 59. All emotional issues potentially, all things that are stuck starting to come out and release. Do share if something came up for you. All right, so July 2025, where are we going? What is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to? The question I always ask when I cast the coins for a weekly or a monthly is, what should we focus on? And the myriad of things that we need to deal with, what is the one thing as a collective that we can really focus on in this month that'll help us the most? Our first hexagram for this month is hexagram 15, modesty, humility. This hexagram, if we look at the structure, it is mountain on the bottom, right, and earth on the top. And earth sinks. And you can imagine a mountain, and visualize with your peaks, and as the earth sinks into the mountain, it fills up the gaps. It fills up the ravines, all right, and the valleys, and levels it out. This hexagram in the I Ching is so auspicious and was so hugely revered in its energy by the ancient sages that every single line in this hexagram, changing line, is auspicious. Okay, that gives you a clue that this is a very highly valued quality, humility and modesty. It's a very interesting hexagram because it does talk about leveling the playing fields. What is low will be made high, what is high will be made low. Too much ego will get flattened, okay, and those who are lowly will be raised up. But what's important about this hexagram, and this is from my perspective, is that this hexagram is by no means asking us to be disempowered, subservient, lowly in our energy in relation to other people. This hexagram brings us an awareness of gracious gratitude and humility and the blessings in our lives, but it's not asking us to be low in power. It's asking us to be balanced in power. And you have heard me talk about this hexagram before, where I said, if you've got some ego issues, okay, and I mean ego, too much ego issues, bring it down, okay, coming into humility and gracious gratitude and respect and reverence for other people in the world around you, that's how you bring that energy down. And if you're down in the valley, the way you bring yourself up is you step into your power. You empower yourselves in balance with other people, not disempower yourself. And so we often think of this idea of modesty as kowtowing, okay, and being subservient and putting ourselves down a level. It's about being in our balance with other people and recognizing the value of our life experiences, of the resources and gifts we have around us, the people we have around us, and the wonderful things that people bring into our lives. And so we are then in balance with others in our power. So if you struggle to step into your power, okay, or you like to hand your power away, the challenge for this month is to be in your power in a balanced way. If you tend to use your power to get things that you want from other people, or your power is too much, okay, too much ego, the way we bring this into balance is we then go into gracious gratitude, into respect and humility for others. Okay, so we bring everything to a level playing field. And wherever you find yourself, this hexagram brings us experiences where the playing field is leveled. Okay, and what happens in that playing field is also going to give us good feedback as to whether we're top of the peak or bottom of the valley. Okay, so it's a great hexagram. It's a wonderful hexagram of bringing things into balance, walking the middle path. Okay, whenever you have a situation where you're being offered this option or that option, this hexagram is all about the middle path, the middle way, finding the mean, okay, walking between as opposed to choosing an extreme. Finding a way down the center is what this hexagram brings to us. Now in this month we have one changing line, okay, and that means it breaks the month up timing wise into two chunks. So we have the first hexagram and we have the energy of the changing line building up from the beginning of the month to around about the 15th of July. And from then it starts to wane off as it starts moving to the outcome or second relating hexagram. So our changing line for this month is in the 6th position, which sometimes can be a dying off energy of things closing off or coming to an end, all right? It's not a booting up energy, okay? And so we might think this position 6 is not a great position, but every line is great in this hexagram, and so too is line 6. This changing line says that part of our first focus for the first 2 weeks, in particular for July, is a focus on taking action, okay? Taking the moment to take action, to go out and to go and seize what we need, to rally helpers, to mobilize people, to engage with the people around us on our cause, to mobilize and take action and go, okay? So particularly the first 2 weeks, there's an energy here of not modesty as in not doing anything, all right? It's finding a balanced way of being, finding a balanced way, the middle path of thinking about things, being in gracious gratitude, but taking action. So something for us all this month requires us to mobilize and take action. And in particular, the first 2 weeks are a powerful time to do that, well supported through the I Ching. Okay. That leads us to a second relating hexagram for the month, building up in power towards the end of the month. And that hexagram is an interesting combination as hexagram 52, keeping still, okay. Keeping still is the doubling of the mountain trigram. Mountain on the bottom, mountain on the top. It represents coming to a rest. Even the way that the trigrams move, mountain sinks and rests. Okay, that's its energy. And so it represents, if we think about the trigram of mountain, it represents the third phase of advancement. Step 1 is to advance, to go out, to begin the journey. Step 2 is to find your flow, okay? And step 3 is to come to a rest and reset. And then we begin the process again. So coming to a rest, coming to a point of stillness is part of the movement, which is quite a mind-blowing concept to come up with because we always think about movement being movement as opposed to movement. It's part of movement is keeping still. This hexagram is a great hexagram for not just physical stopping, like resting, stopping, stilling the body, but also the mind and the emotions and our spiritual pursuits, like just finding a place of stillness. It's a meditation hexagram. If we had to say, which hexagram is the meditation one? It's this one. So if you are a meditation enthusiast, this is a great month to get more into it and work with it. But it brings this idea of stilling the mind, the heart, the body. And it brings the wisdom of knowing when it's time to act and when it's time to stop, when it's time to push and when it's time to still. And we will find in this month, if we are paying attention, that there are areas in our life where it's not about everything coming to a stop. The stillness doesn't just hit everything. It's about the wisdom to know the difference. When it's time to go, when it's time to still. And finding that stillness so we don't act out of the noise and the blind activity. That when we need to act, we're acting from a place of having been still. If we have to face important big decisions this month, I would suggest that part of this energy is getting into the gracious gratitude, into the middle path. Okay, so get into the middle path of the decision and create space to be still with it, to sit with it. Okay, not to blindly react or do. Is first be still, and then when you are clear, it's time to act. When the time is ready and you feel, now we go, you go. Okay, so it's not about nothing happens in July. It's the wisdom to know the difference, which is what we are learning in this month. A powerful hexagram that is tough for us to do when all we want to do is blindly do something when we are faced with difficulties or challenges or opportunities. We just want to act. Something in this month is bringing our attention to being still. And once we are still, once we are clear, like you see like a kung fu master sit, and he sits and then suddenly his eyes open. Okay, now it's time, showtime. It's that kind of idea of finding the stillness on the issue. All right. And once you've got that peace and that stillness and that clarity, you act from that place. And I would say that probably most times that place is the middle path, the balancing point of hexagram 15. So a good month for us to meditate, be clear, be still, and perhaps for some of us, maybe for you, this is an opportunity, particularly the second half of July, to find a little stillness, just to come to a stop, or find pockets of stillness in the month to perhaps just regenerate, find a place to find yourself, to find the stillness in all the chaos, and to just still, peace and quiet. I wish that for you this month. Thank you so much for being here with me, and very soon we'll get into the first weekly overview for July. And until then, take care.